When it comes to high alpine tours, there's always the question of what equipment to take. And that usually means doing a balancing act between the weight and the scope of your equipment. On the one hand, you don't want to take too much because you have to carry it with you, but on the other hand, you need to be equipped for every possible situation. A key piece of equipment for any high alpine tour is the harness. A good harness for high alpine touring should have the following characteristics. It should be light, not padded, because padding absorbs water, which takes a long time to dry out. It should be adjustable, because you'll be wearing clothing of varying degrees of thickness. And it must be comfortable for long periods of walking. In other words, it shouldn't rub or impede movement. Another key item is the helmet. Unfortunately, with the impact of climate change and melting permafrost, rockfall is increasingly becoming a factor to be reckoned with in the high mountains. Although in the past it was normal to go on a high alpine tour without a helmet, today it is standard practice to wear a helmet. Like the harness, you should opt for a lightweight helmet that is well ventilated and provides optimal protection, such as we see here with this in-mold design. Another essential piece of equipment is the crampon. Crampons provide the grip you need on hard, firm snow or on ice. There are various binding systems. Many alpinists use the toe bail bindings, which fasten around the toe as you see here. This system is combined with a heel lever at the back. Alternatively, if you need crampons for ice climbing, the system will have a loop at the front and a heel binding at the back. It's essential that any crampon is fitted with an anti-balling plate, because if snow piles up under the crampon during a high alpine tour, it can be very dangerous. The crampon prongs will no longer have proper purchase, which can result in complete loss of grip. When buying a pair of crampons, make sure that the angle between the front prong and the next pair of prongs looks like this, enabling the foot to roll properly. Of course, the first image that comes to mind with a high alpine tour is probably a glacier rope team. If you want to form a rope team, you're obviously going to need a rope. When it comes to ropes, the preferred type is usually the standard single rope, or a rope that has a triple rating. Today's ropes are no longer extremely heavy, and they generally come in 50 to 70 meter lengths. But make sure to check that the ropes are dry treated to eliminate water absorption, not just on the outside of the rope, but treated right to the core. Because when you spend hours walking across a glacier, things can get very damp. And if the rope absorbs a lot of moisture, it may freeze, and it will definitely get very heavy. Another important item of equipment is the ice axe. An ice axe provides support and stability. It helps with balance, but it is also a vital tool for self-arresting in the event of a slip to prevent sliding or falling. Modern ice axes have a forged pick with an adze at the other end. This can be used to scrape snow away in order to form a foothold. The shaft is slightly bent, which is an advantage when you use the axe as an anchor. The spike should also be top quality, made of steel, like this one. That way you can plant the steel spike and use the axe for balance. An ice axe should be around 60 centimeters long for high alpine tours. In order to establish a secure connection between rope and harness, you need carabiners. There are various types of carabiners. The simplest type is the snap carabiner. These look almost identical in design. An advantage of the snap carabiner is that they can be used in rescue operations, for example, with a Garda hitch. Then, there's the HMS carabiner. This carabiner is designed to be used with a Munter hitch. It is pear-shaped and has a screw gate. It can be used for all forms of belaying. The third type of carabiner is the lock-safe carabiner. In this case, we have a ball lock device. This is a three-way locking carabiner. It requires 3 movements to open it. In this case, you press, turn, and then open the gate. These have the advantage that they are completely self-locking, so it is impossible to forget to lock the gate. These carabiners offer the highest level of safety and are ideal for tying on with a figure 8 to the harness. Additional essential items are your accessory cords, 2 of them. They should be between 2.8 and 3.6 meters in length, or 12 feet, and ideally about half the diameter of your rope. In other words, between 5 and 6 millimeters. The important thing is that they are pliable. The more pliable they are, the better they will grip the rope and the better they will work. Another piece of equipment made of fabric is the sling. A sling, in this case a double-length sling, means we have the very useful option, for example, of looping it around the ice axe to build a T-slot anchor. A sling can also be used as a protection point looped around a block. Once our high alpine tour takes us above the tree line and into the ice, we will need ice screws. Without these, it's not possible to make an anchor. Ideally, you will have 2 screws of differing lengths. The longer one should be around 20 centimeters in length, maybe a little shorter. With ice screws, you should always take care to protect the screw's tip. Always cover it with something, because if it gets bent or the threads become blunt, then it won't work as well. When it comes to rescue scenarios in particular, there are other devices that can make life a lot easier. These are rope clamps. They come in a variety of types and designs. This one, for example, is a tiblock. It is an excellent alternative to a prusik. Instead of having to tie the knot, this device clamps very tightly on the rope. Its one disadvantage is that it can only be moved in one direction. Another very practical rope clamp is the micro-traction. This is not only a clamp, it also has a pulley. It can be a great advantage in several rescue techniques to reduce friction in the rescue system. And that's where this micro-traction comes in very useful. These are devices that can be considered optional, that make life easier, but where standard techniques are concerned, they are not essential.
Techniken sind sie aber nicht notwendig.